Hi, Masha. Can you hear me?
Hi. Yeah. I'm fine.
Hi. We
Yeah,
don't
I'm just
see
turning on.
you.
All right. Can you hear me
Yeah,
now?
right now. Yeah, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you. How are you?
Okay, it's a pleasure to meet you. I'm so glad to have you here with us. So,
Okay.
as one of the youngest references in the forefront of fashion, so thank you so much for accepting our invitation to join us in these Fashion Days of Barreira School. Well,
Thank you for
our
inviting.
students already know you, and I'm sure they are following you too. Even so, I will make a small review about your career to introduce you, if it's okay for you. If not, if you want to do it for me. When born and raised in Ukraine, Masha Popova holds a degree in architecture. Having studied in Central St. Martin's, she graduated last year. Her short experience in the world of fashion hasn't been an impediment for her. She has managed to get different celebrities such as Sarah Larson or Kali Uchis, one of my favorites, among others, to wear their clothes in her video clips. She has also collaborated with brands as Celine or Maison Margiela. Her Fall/Winter 21 debut collection has been presented at London Fashion Week with the support of the British Fashion Council. When I started to talking to Masha about this presentation, she suggested me to create a dialogue with the Barreira students to answer their questions, and I found it super interesting. So we collected the most interesting ones and sent them here for this conversation. I don't want to steal even more time. We are looking forward to hearing you, so just one more time, I welcome you.
Hi. Yeah, thank you for the introduction. And thank you for inviting me. I'm very excited and slightly terrified, to be honest. And yeah, so I was very excited to receive all your questions, and I kind of grouped them in. Can you hear me? Yeah?
Yeah, we heard you very
Yeah,
well.
yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I kind of grouped them in like by the subject, and so to be able to actually answer them all, because then some of them are quite similar, just to cover as much as possible. And so yeah, just um obviously I would be so excited to be there with you, and yeah, that's why I wanted to create this kind of like conversation presentation rather than like talking about um things that myself, and then what I find interesting for an hour and a half. So I wanted to to answer the questions that maybe might be more interesting to you than to me. And yeah, so I grouped these questions. So first, I'm gonna I started with design process, and I did put your questions first, and I'm gonna answer them. Yes, first questions. I would like to know, how is the design process? You start with concrete item, and then you think about the look, or you start with the look idea. And then are you faithful to the initial idea, or do you change things during the process? So yeah, so my process, one I would do start with the research, and normally I don't do research for like a specific project or collection. I like constantly do research when I feel bored, when I feel inspired, and I feel like I have nothing to do. If I have chance to go to like library or watch a film, I always do research, and I have like a big amount of research collected on my computer, screenshots from films, scans from libraries, etc. And then when time comes, like I constantly relook at them or evaluate them, and when time comes, just um, a, don't spend time panicking like about what I'm gonna do. I already kind of have in the back of my mind. And yeah, so we started as different, like such different. So I collect absolutely random things, and then I just put them together in like kind of relations. It could be like a runaway picture, or like a photographer, or some like book about teenagers in America, and then I just put all these things together and kind of like communicate visually. And I do draw, but I never really design by the look or the garment. So I do draw just to kind of get like exercise my brain and get like very, you know, excited and start like thinking, designing, kind of like not just having a research but reflecting it into drawing. But a real like, so yeah, I just do like, you can't really see, it's not like a proper design drawing, so it's more like a mood and kind of like, and for me, a real design starts with the fabric. So when I choose fabrics, when I do fabrications, like for example, you know, like I boil some nylon and then it like behaves like a paper and I can do some like nice shapes. Or, you know, like I work with denim and I just distort it or like wash it, you know, like stitch, wash and pick, and then it behaves like becomes very like three-dimensional. And that's how I start. So I start with the material and then I always drape on the mannequin. Obviously looking at the research and I always drape on the mannequin, and then you know, most of the time things that comes out not that like never but they don't look exactly like those sketches. They look like something else, something like comes out through the process. And I think that's what keeps me exciting. Like every time it's just like something new coming out, rather than like I don't like the idea of, you know, just very methodical process of making decisions, designing everything flat, and then spending like a few months trying to make this into reality, because then you kind of get bored of it with time, and you know, most of the time you would get probably disappointed because in your head it would look better than realized. And so the way I like to work is always like kind of keep myself excited and, you know, just keep changing. So yeah, I never stay faithful to whatever designs are. I never try to actually design properly. I just you know, I sculpt in the mannequin. I do one thing and then I just change and drape it over, Photoshop over, again draw. It's constantly changing. It's like it's never really by the look. It's all like by the garments and then just put them together. It's like very like playful process, just to keep myself excited all the time. So yeah, like the very core of everything, I think, is the fabric and textiles like material. I guess it's just
okay. So yeah, I was basically okay. So I asked a questions from you because because I'm already very far, so it couldn't be like as interactive. So yeah, so I wanted to make it as interactive as possible, and I did several questions, very exciting. I grouped them in like by the subject to kind of like cover them all. I'll try to answer them all. And so yeah, I'm starting with the design process, and the first two questions are basically if I start with a concrete item and then you think about the look, or you start with the look idea and are you faithful in initial design, or do you change things during the process? And so yeah, so I was talking about, so basically normally I do research like all the time, not for specific projects. I do research when I'm bored, when I have nothing to do, when I feel stuck, when I feel just, you know, when I have nothing better to do, when I just, if I have like a chance to go to library or, you know, watch a film, I constantly like screenshot films, scan magazines, books. So I constantly collect research, and then so when the time comes to a collection or a project or any like work that I do, I would also like just look into like my kind of archive of research and then, you know, research the research and like evaluate and select things from there. And I don't normally start designing from the garment or look either. I do draw by the looks just to kind of like exercise my brain, just kind of to warm up and just to like reflect on the research that I've done. But the real design is, for me, starts with the fabric, with the material, So I never really work with the raw fabric. I always do something to it, even if it seems, you know, simple. I mean, like if it's like a nylon, I would still like try to boil it, or like to dye it, like to change the just to change the properties, or like you know, I am a like textile based designer. I don't actually like a print design. I'm not very graphic, but I always start with like textile manipulation, and then from there, like obviously based on the research and the drawings, I start working in 3D, and like I don't normally make designs and then try to make them real. I rather like make designs in 3D, if that makes sense. And it's constantly changing, like during the process, it's evolving. I like come up with new things, and sometimes the end result is very, very different from initial sketches. And it's kind of like in a way chaotic, but it keeps me excited during the process. I guess that's very important, rather than, you know, I just find it's like very flat way, but it's my personal opinion. Designing, when you like very like methodically spend time making like drawings perfect with all the like the seams and everything, and then you like try so hard to make those things real, and then you kind of like, if you spend too much time doing it, you get bored by those designs, and then basically it kind of reflects. You can see, I mean, you could see if someone was like excited doing things, you know. So I'm trying to keep myself excited basically, and just to have fun all the time. So yeah, you can see actually like drawings that have in the end not like something to do with the designs, but you know, it's not exactly it. So I one of like the first steps that I do textile manipulations. So yeah, I do like, you know, for example, like denim, I stitch, I treat it and pick, and then do like different like patterns in it, or like I just treat fabric, I boil it, or I like try different dyeing techniques. You know, I do like embroidery bits, but like as a like kind of designing the fabrics, and then I just always start to like build on the mannequin, and from there everything comes. So the trickiest part is like when you actually made something nice in the mannequin, it's just to take it down and like make it recreatable anyway. So that's the tricky part, but it's like, it's, you know, during the whole process, if you're gonna spend like 4 months making your collection, like last week my final image collection, I had like, I guess out of 14 looks that I had, I guess like 4 of them, and my most favorite I designed in the last 2 weeks, just because it's just like, it's just constant process, it just never stops, never faithful. I guess. Okay, so next questions. How do you investigate and the intervention of textiles? Is it a part of inspiration for the collection, or do you investigate them separately? Well, I guess I kind of answered to that question already. It is part of, I think it's like a core of designing and an inspiration, I guess. What materials do you usually experiment with to create textures? I like, okay, so for me, I don't work in the industry for like, you know, dozens of years. So, you know, I just been working like apart from like school for, you know, a very short time. So, but yeah, so far, obviously the materials that I absolutely love is denim, because denim, you can have like one roll of, you know, seem like a boring fabric, and then something like that, for example, and then you can have like one roll, and you can make like 3 collections, endless collections with the same fabric, and they would look completely different. Those fabrics will look completely different, and you would never tell that it was just one simple indigo, you know, plain fabric. So denim is like so versatile, it's so exciting. You know, like I would never ever buy a painted fabric or like a pleated fabric, and I would and start work with it. I would never, to be honest, I rarely buy fabrics in color. I always like buy white fabric because I never really like already existing color that you know that shops or like mills are selling. So I think it's like, for me, it's like the very exciting part is just, you know, to get very plain materials and then make something out of, you know, like out of like threads, just make a textile out of like 2 white threads to, you know, like make an embroidery, deep dye it, and then just kind of like trying new thing and experiment. How do you create volumes of the clothes? I think I covered that question as well already. I always work in a mannequin. If there was no mannequin, I would feel, if I would have to design a collection, if someone closed me in a room and just give me like everything, like beautiful pencils, amazing fabrics, all machines, you know, like magazines and books, and would just say like, okay, now you like, oh, you know, all the technical stuff, and would tell me like, okay, now you make a collection. But if I wouldn't have a mannequin, I would just feel absolutely terrified and anxious. I don't actually think that I would be able to make a very beautiful collection without it. Because some people like very great working flat, but for me, to like I build up the volume in 3D, and just that's how it's what makes me exciting. It makes like the whole process exciting. Kind of like so like building up, constructing it. How many recycled fabrics or garments do you use? Okay, so actually, if you speak about denim is actually one of the worst polluting industries in the world. And when I start working with it, I obviously heard about it, and I just decided, okay, that I want to do it, but I don't want to like feel ashamed that it is like very, very bad for environment. Obviously, I never market myself as a sustainable designer. It's not like a selling point, but I think that, to be honest, right now, everyone I know try to be sustainable in that way or another. Obviously, if you really want to save the world, you wouldn't do fashion at all, I guess. But it's your responsibility to, you know, to make it, to whatever you make it as responsible as possible. So obviously, the all denims that I use are either made partly or basically I use, well, most of the time I use the Kandiani denim that in the beginning were like sponsoring my collection. So they always, they're one of the greenest denim factories, and they use recycled from their own factory recycled denim. They use a recycled elastan when they need to be stretched, or like biodegradable. Basically, then I use also leather, which can be, you know, considered for some unsustainable. But I so far, like I never bought a single piece. I always there are some brands who are clearing their stocks, and they are, you know, getting rid of some leather I don't need because there is space in the storage. And just because like I know people, like, you know, I worked intern here and there, so you know, people would just like know that I need it, so they would just message me, or like what happened the other day. Okay, so we have 65 skins. We're gonna trash it or you take it. And so, you know, I always try to take regardless of the color, regardless of whatever it is, because it is better for everyone. It is better for the planet. It doesn't go to landfill. It's better for those brands, and it's better for me because I don't spend money on it. Then, okay, so I have read an interview that you defining work as a trial and error. Many tasks you usually carry out more or less per garment. Yeah, definitely. I do try, like, I love to like try new things, and actually when like things don't go right, most of the time, when you like, I had a few times when I just like had something planned in my head and it didn't work out, and it was like, it went everything completely wrong, and I was like almost cry that I completely fucked up. And then in the end, those pieces I would still use them. I would just change them like somehow, and that would become my favorite pieces. Yeah, it's quite funny. And I don't normally try, I don't do tons of toiles. I did there are some styles that I've done, and I probably did like 3-4 toiles. But to be honest, looking back at them, I actually don't like them as much, just because I think that like I got bored, and they also became like slightly overworked in a way. So yes, and like now, everything that I do, it's quite spontaneous. So I do it in the mannequin, I take it down and recreate it. So they're pretty much 112, I guess. Some things have no toile and no pattern, which become a bit of a problem when you try to then do a production for it. But sometimes like I have 0 toiles at all. Okay, I read an article that you define your work against trial or error when you feel that garment is already finished. Has it had moments of anger and helplessness, and you put the end to them? Yeah, I guess, I kind of answered that before. And when I feel, I try not initial idea was, and it doesn't work, I always try to save and just cut them up and change it a little bit, just making a different fabric, just to again like keep myself excited and not to make myself bored. But I never actually drop anything, and I really try not to bring anything to that point of anger and helplessness. Just put it aside, do something else, I guess. That's my advice. Then just look back at it, maybe if you have like a long time to do your project or collection, just then look back at it, and then like reevaluate what you like about it. You can like cut up, change it, or you completely just abandon it. It doesn't work. You also have to like know how to evaluate things, and sometimes maybe to say goodbye to something, it's and start completely from scratch. Maybe it's an option as well. Just you just need to be like completely happy, and like finishing this helplessness and anger is not right. Okay, so what is your favorite part of the design and making process? Kind of answered it before. It's my favorite, the most favorite bit is like when I already have my fabrics, when I already like have a manipulation, and before I have to actually like finish all the like boring bits of like zips and buttons. So like when I just like drape and build it up, that's the most exciting part. Like making decisions in 3D, I guess that's it. Okay, so I have read that you work on your own terms without symmetry and imperfection. How do you handle that and being productive as a brand? And then next question is, the process of your garments is mainly handmade. How do you produce the garment when you already have the prototype? Well, that's actually the problem that I face now. It's it is like very exciting to make, but it is very hard to produce, and it's just very important to find people who are on the same wave, I guess. It's very hard. I don't know. I don't even know if I want to go in that direction, but it's I don't know about productive brand. Obviously, at this point, I don't have like a massive scales of production. I just started now, and it's the first season where I started doing production. So in these scales, it's quite alright to be like still producing in-house some things, because they are too complicated. I don't know. I guess it's something that I have to deal in the future and think about this. But I'm sure. I don't think that you have to look for like easy ways. I guess you have to like just look for solutions and push your way and try to find a way to make things work, regardless how hard it is. Okay, so do you think that making such a crazy and commercial clothing is advantage or disadvantage? First of all, I actually don't think that what I do is not commercial. I think it's actually quite commercial in a way. And I also think that sometimes people misunderstand the word commercial. It kind of used as a, like an offensive thing. But to be honest, my tutor at MA, before I was actually doing MA, I was doing like fittings for MA fashion. It was like years back, and I still remember it. He said it to one of the students that I don't remember what was it, and someone just had like probably unwearable piece, or like, you know, the skirt is like too long with a trail in the front, something like that you can't walk, and he would be like, who would wear it, who'd want to buy it? And the student was like, oh yeah, but I'm not gonna make, you know, commercial clothes. And I remember he said something that that actually, to be able to be commercial like designer, that like, you know, make commercial clothes, which means like someone would actually want to wear it, actually want to buy, is actually the hardest thing to do. Because one thing is make something like creative, they're gonna look nice in the picture. Another thing, that make something nice that actually not just gonna look nice in the picture, but gonna like feel comfortable, and people like would actually want to wear it, and like they would feel nice. So it's, you know, a commercial, it doesn't mean and also like, yeah, it's very hard, like it's a talent to or it's like, it's really hard work to communicate your idea well enough to make everyone else, not or someone, to understand and like to read it and to desire. So I think like commercial is actually, it's like, if something is commercial, is not necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes it's actually a good thing. It means just it's like developed well enough. I don't know why it's in this order, but here we go. Just some development, and it's how it works. Yeah, sometimes I do like things, I drape, I did like drape a little bit, and then I photoshopped on whatever garment I already done, and then I photoshopped colors on, and then, you know, it's just very spontaneous process. Yeah, I just, here was like the embroidery bits, and I just like draped them on the mannequin. Well, at first I did like I did like a laser cut the same shapes, and then I just, you know, drape, take it down, make an embroidery out of it. It's not like it's always for me like very 3D, but I guess, I mean, everyone is different, and it is very exciting. Like if I want to work with someone, the person that the people I would want to hire, I want to like people to be maybe like have these similar ideas, but like thinking different. Like if someone like so amazing and perfect, like working flat, and, you know, for like making the drawing, bringing the drawing back to reality, maybe like it's something that would like benefit and help. But this is just my way, and I find it very like exciting, and the whole process is very like alive. And yeah, this is just another thing. They were just like trying, there are like some references that I look, and they just like try to recreate similar things but different artistic styles, like stretching, pulling. For example, it was like stockings that like I embroidered, pulled them apart, and then when they kind of relax, it creates like a really wavy texture. So and just again, it's like trial and error. That's another thing. It's about like, again, questions about using recycled materials. So yeah, I had this like all the different leathers in different colors, and I just painted them all and like again, it's like, I'm a textile designer, but I hate all traditional textile techniques and like screen printing, and you know, like digital painting just as it is. So I always try to find like a new ways of doing it. So I would like cover in like 4 colors or 5 colors those leathers, because they all like were different colors, different like look, and would never work together. And then I just like burn the colors through, and then when everything is mismatching, it kind of makes sense. And that's another way like of working, just, you know, like I drape a little bit and then you just mirror it for, you know, for the shop, and then it's kind of designing. Yeah, it's always this 3D starts. Okay, inspiration. So where do you find your inspiration? Yeah, I said that before. I constantly do research, and like my phone is like filled with, especially now because there is no access to libraries, so you can't really scan. So like I take pictures, I do like I don't know, like screenshots, and always when I like watch some films, whatever, I'd always do like nice screenshots that like I like, you know, the colorways or anything. So yeah, and so basically I just constantly, every day I do research regardless, I'd say. And then yeah, just basically like always inspired, if you can say this way. And then yeah, again, the questions about the films and movies. I love films. I watch film every day. I fall asleep with a film. It's like there is even in the busiest time, I would still watch a film every night. So I think recently, so it changes my favorite films, but now I think it's like natural. Oh goodness. Okay, so this film is one of my all-time favorites. Visually, the name of the film is Liquid Sky, and I think you could see a lot resemblance in like my painting styles to it. It is like a film made in the 80s, and it's very like art house and low budget. But it was in a cinema. I don't know. I'm not gonna lie, but I know there's like it was in one of the like art house films, and people will keep coming to watch, and it was there for like a few years, non-stop screening. And then it's like one of my most favorite films as well. Natural Born Killers. And then recently I got as well into like Greg Araki. Very hard to find his films to watch. But yeah. Did I miss any question? I guess. Do you use nature as an inspiration in your in fun? I didn't really. I mean, obviously there were butterflies, and I look at the real butterflies, but it wasn't the nature. It wasn't like an inspiration. It was rather like I was just kind of looking into like dirty 2000s, and I think like butterflies were like such a thing back then. And you know, it was like this glittery and strassy, but obviously it was like this was like the butterfly was a reference to that rather than just the nature. I think nature is too like nice and beautiful for me to reference. I like things rather like not nice and not beauty, not pretty, as like a starting point, rather than something right beautiful. Like I would never do anything just because it is beautiful. Makes sense. Okay, what do you think is the world's vision of Masha Popova? I don't know. I think obviously it's a little bit also early to say that, and it also like I'm not the one who should see how like okay, next. What are you I think for me it's very important is to celebrate the like freedom and individuality. I don't want to sound a cliche, but I think you know, especially in the history of women's war and men's war, it always was like to put certain standard for men are the most pursue that make your body look like and like for a lady would be always there's like different standards like feel a certain way to make you look beautiful but not the way you are. And so like for me so that starting point for me was always like to go against of something like that would fit well or look right or like everything just like pulled up stuck and yeah, so kind of like the person would it's about embracing that you are not perfect and just kind of celebrating it, celebrating like being messy, being elegant, being sexy, like anything. And it's very exciting to see how actually people were. And when we design and when I was studying, tutors would always ask, who is your woman, who are you designing for? I always have to think about this. And then in the end, when the thing that came into the world, the people who would actually want to wear wouldn't be the ones that I had in my mind when I designed. And I just find it very exciting that everyone, that people could interpret it their own way. And like, I shouldn't be telling what to feel. And it's very exciting to see what like actually people feel. Yeah, how do you market, sell your clothes beyond the runway? How do I sell? I mean, I did this basically. I just started, but I did that pre-order thing. I don't know, it's just like too boring to talk about. But I find it as something that's happening now. During the pandemic, just everything like became more about like direct to consumer in a way, and it's such a like complicated and like expensive process to to start the production, and if you don't have like someone who gives you money to do it in the first place, so it's pretty much impossible to do. So I just so many people were asking and they really wanted to like own something, so I just decided, or just like thinking like, hey, so what can I do? I decided to the pre-order, so people would order what they what they want, and then when they would have money to make it for them. I think it's like many young brands are adopting that right now, and obviously right now I since I have this first season, I will have stockists like Ascend and H. Lorenzo, so that's another way of selling. And then they, I as well was like very selective with that, because there are many stores that you would like, they approach young designers with very like strange offers, asking you to like not buy, and then basically using young designers, and like many people like jumped thinking that these are the opportunities, and it's very important to understand that those are not. And someone would like ask you to invest in like producing things and then taking commission for selling it. I don't know, it's just something that exists, and then industry sometimes kind of like use like young creatives and who is like hungry for success. But I think it's very like important to not to fall for it, and just just keep things, take things slowly, I guess, and think about everything. Okay, thanks to people. This is a long question. I don't know if you may want to read. Okay, thanks to people like you, fashion can be understood as art and not so much as a business generating money and social inequalities. And it is more than proven that if the purpose of any project is to satisfy your pocket rather than to satisfy your mind, you don't usually enjoy it and doesn't usually succeed. My question is, how or when did you realize that was the path you wanted to follow? Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think that this is like not the way. I mean, there is no longevity in this thinking. Of thinking like, oh, what's gonna sell Anyway, I was thinking about this when someone was asking me, like, what do you think you're gonna make money with it, or some stuff like that. And I was just like thinking about it, and I just like, I'd rather not do a brand. I'd rather not do like another brand, but do another like commercial thing. I'd rather not do fashion at all, or I just like go and work somewhere. But I wouldn't do that. It's just sad. But yeah, really thank you for those kind words. And when did I realize that that's the path I want to follow? I don't know. It just happened naturally. Just like you do what you do, and then I just did what I liked, and then yeah. And I just want to do things that I like. Yes, that's what I want. What were your thoughts when I found out we were going to Fashion Week? Okay, so first of all, my opinion right now that fashion weeks are not as important as they used to be, and many good brands are actually not showing these fashion weeks anymore. For me, it was important to do it because it was like the first season, and there are still insecurities that you have in like, will you do a new collection? Like, do people want it? Like, does anyone even need it? And so like having if someone gave a platform to do it, and I had a deadline, and I just kind of it was just like a nice push for me having a deadline. I guess that was that was the main reason why I wanted to do it. It just like having like an end point, rather than just being like in this like slow, because I have no like structure yet, and I couldn't really, I don't have like the structure like as a brand. I don't have a structure as a like, I didn't have like buyers or any all this business things. So for me, it was important. But generally speaking, I think that fashion weeks will disappear quite soon. As a schedule as well, like as it used to be. Okay, how is having to make a fashion film not be able to do a show film Fashion Week? Okay, so I liked it and I disliked it in some sense. I think first of all, I was based in London, and I went back to Ukraine for like few weeks because London was like in a horrible lockdown, and I had like a month. I had a month and a half to do the whole collection. I was like, I can't do anything. I can't leave house, so I just flew home so I could work. And then while I was there, the restrictions got even harder. So if I would go back to film, because like BFC would offer us a space to film and help, and if I would go back to film, I'd have to sit in 2 weeks quarantine, and basically I didn't have that time, so I had to stay in Ukraine and film everything in Ukraine. And I just thought how exciting it is. You can be in any part of the world, and you can just still show during whatever, during the like London Fashion Week, with whatever platform, in a different part of the world. I just quite exciting. You no longer need to be in a fashion capital, and you can be more like, you can be in a beautiful place where you are now, and have and like create there. You don't necessarily have to move to Milan or like London or Paris. It is very exciting, and obviously the fact that I didn't have the stress of the show, but at the same time, it was a bit like, so on the day of the presentation, or the evening before, I was just feeling like I'm missing out, something is wrong, I haven't done anything, like, oh my God, why I'm not stressed? Like, everything was done. I was like, oh, it's not like, it just felt wrong. It just felt like I had to be stressed. It just felt like, okay, well, yeah, that happened. Like posting a picture on Instagram. That's how it felt a little bit. It wasn't like, the butterflies in your stomach. Didn't have that. Do you see your future related to virtual reality? The thing is, like, I love sci-fi and I love, idea of virtual reality, but I don't really like virtual fashion and like virtually designed clothes or like this existing just in virtual reality. I'm very like touchy person, so I don't know. Interesting question, but I don't think that I will be designing for virtual reality. Well, let's see. Let's see now. Let's see how things are gonna turn. Yeah, it's about just some stills from the video presentation, just because we were talking about it. Okay, so what do you like the most? What do you like least about your profession? I like the least endless emails and lots of bureaucracy. Actually, I never realized how much boring stuff I have to do and how little time I actually have to make to design. The other day I had like someone I know, like Kiko Custodino friend, and he posted something like 3 days a month for drawings and like 24 emails. Yeah, but that part is absolutely horrible. That were like the least. And then how competitiveness managed in such a crowded industry. I guess you should never think about like someone is doing better, because someone will always do better. And if you think this way, you're just always going to be stressed, and you just have to do better than you could do. You just always try to do your best and always try to stay true to yourself. How like maybe it sounds a bit cliche again, but yeah, just comparing yourself to others and be very competitive is never gonna make you happy, and it's just gonna make you lost and confused. And also having friends who are like doing really well, and it's amazing and it's exciting, and it is actually sad that sometimes people don't appreciate that other people around you doing well and kind of get a bit jealous. But I think like this time you learn that it is very important to just not to look at others and compare, and just not to feel jealous of anything just because it's just very destructive way of thinking. What do you think is the hardest thing in the fashion sector? I think the hardest thing, and as well as changing a little bit right now, is just this like endless desire for novelty, and like that everyone just get bored with things very quickly. That's why all this like endless new stuff being produced, or like creative directors like endlessly change from one another, and we just like always want like new. And I noticed the tendency of these things to be changed. But yeah, that's very, very hard thing that you feel like the hardest thing that you can never stop, because as soon as something done, as soon as you deal with your production, you have to design a thing. It's like if once you enter, this is like I just started by it. Thinking about it is very terrifying. You basically can never stop. You cannot take a break. Then deeper you go into it, and it's just it's just terrifying. What was it like to study University of Central St. Martin's, and what requirements did you have to go through to enter? I mean, it's very like you just have an interview and you submit your work. So generally speaking, requirements, you are not required to know how to make clothes. You are not required to know how to use sewing machine or any like technical skills. I think like for BA, St. Martin's prefer you not to. I guess then less rules then then less you are like restrained in your head, then they like more. But it's very hard to say what, some very good people who are doing very well, they didn't get in first time, and they will just apply 2 or 3 times. Like actually most of the people who are doing well, they didn't get in the first time. So I don't know. It's not. It doesn't mean anything that you were like chosen. Doesn't mean anything. I think that the good thing about St. Charles and Martins is that people are trying to apply from all parts of the world, and it's very diverse community, and you just like learn a lot from the people you are with. So I guess right now is not as I mean, this year was not as important because everyone online anyway. But yeah, St. Martin's amazing part of it is actually how diverse it is. And that it's not a fashion school, it's art school as well. Okay, has there been any negative experience? I know when I read the question, I started thinking about it, and I just couldn't like come up with anything. I guess the brain is kind of like erasing the bad parts, and you just remember the good things. So I guess let's leave it this way. No negative experience. Okay, so what advice would you give to current fashion students who want to pursue a career in fashion? Okay, to fashion students, I think this is like really, I don't even have to think about this. Don't, right now, okay, so don't try to be a brand or, like too early. Just enjoy student time and just try to experiment and try to like learn as much as possible. Try to use facilities as much as possible. I honestly, thinking back at my BA, I was like, oh my God, I literally had so many facilities and opportunities that I didn't even touch until my MA. And on MA, I try to use everything possible, and I just I mean, I think I was already kind of overwhelmed with being in a different country, new language, new people, and everything. But still, my advice is just try everything as much as possible. Just do mistakes and don't think about that you have to, be like successful as young as possible and like before you graduate, or like looking just experiment and just enjoy this time, because this is the most fun time, as cliche as this sounds, but you're never gonna have that much freedom as you have during your student years. Oh, the same question. Okay, so if you have the power to choose 6 subjects an exercise student will study, what would they be? Honestly, I think that that students should be like many subjects available, and you choose what you want to study, because everyone is different, and that would be very restraining if there would be only 6 subjects and everyone would have to study. But I guess one thing is very important. I have like a film and music club that everyone would like discuss films they've seen, and it just like you would like learn about new music, new films, and I guess that one I would make very important subject. Okay, I'm just trying to run really quickly through it. So how was it been working Thomas and Marcella and Henry John Galliano? Okay, so yeah, so I did a placement year there, and to be honest, I mean, I was obsessed with Miss and Marcella, and I always wanted to intern there, just be there, like I wanted to go to archive and touch everything. And now John Galliano is one of my like the biggest inspiration, but back then it kind of wasn't, and I didn't appreciate in the beginning everything. But he's absolutely amazing. He is the one who's like making the final decision. He's choosing all his interns. He's he's always there. He's like organizing a party when new interns come in. So he's like he knows everyone. Everyone's like it just, I mean, I've been to many different places, and there was never ever a creative director who like were so present and knew everyone and just hang out with everyone. He's just like it's just amazing how different to how people, how like the idea of like a fashion diva would be. He's just like very humble, and it's very fun. So how you combine leading the creative director of your company with Fiorucci style consulting. But at Fiorucci, I didn't combine, but because it was a placement year when I worked there. But to be honest, right now I actually do consulting for another brand, and it's very hard because I like to give myself to anything 100%, and obviously you can't. So it's just very, very stressful for me to like give only like 20% of what I can give, because I always feel like it's not good enough, and I don't know, but you just can't give 100% while you're working. It's very stressful. It's very hard, but it's I mean, ideally I wouldn't want to do like small things, but it's just like income, I guess. That's why people do that. And yeah, working somewhere wouldn't allow you to work on your brand. So like having small consultancy things, that's kind of the only option in the beginning. How did you start your professional career? Where was the first place you worked? Okay, so my first experience in fashion, it was an internship at Marcus Almeida. I was after like a foundation year before BA, and they were amazing because I didn't know how to use sewing machine. I didn't know anything, and obviously internship was unpaid, but I learned so much that I gained so much from it, and I just think it's very it's amazing. They like were teaching me how to use sewing machine in the beginning, and and then all the interns would make showpieces for the show. It's just very exciting to be like in a small brand in the beginning and learn things like this. And then I did so I went on placement to Celine when Phoebe Philo was still there, as well into like the department called 3D department. So it's basically all you do is you drape and make things in 3D. And then I did Margiela, and then after that, Fiorucci, which as well, like the head of department in Margiela, she got this project at Fiorucci, and she took me with her. And that was it. And now, what is what's happening? And would you like to work in a maison of great value as a creative director, and which? Yeah, of course I would. I think like someone would lie if they said that they wouldn't want to. But to be honest, if you have to be creative director in some like amazing brand, it's such a pressure because you have to compete. For example, like I don't know, this genius designer who created this brand, and it's very hard to just to make things better. It is very probably stressful thing. I think like maybe more exciting to work with like creative director of the brand that actually needs some creative influx, rather than a brand that constantly changing creative directors and everyone keep judging who is how is it become boring now and blah blah. Just said I think it's just so much pressure of like people getting bored of things very quickly, and just of the comparing to like Gucci is not as good now, like Tom Ford was better, or like I don't know, just people is always like comparing and getting tired and things, and that's her. And that one, okay, so personal questions. What do you think about emotional intelligence? I actually searched it up when I saw the question, and it is a very interesting question because I still learn how to be emotionally intelligent with people. I think I had so many troubles on like the way I used to express emotions, and especially in UK that everyone is like overly polite, and I just had to learn how to be polite. Even when I don't know, just people always thought that I'm like rude just because I was shy. And yeah, I think maybe I'm emotionally not intelligent, but I'm learning. It's a very hard job to, it's so much like pressure to do the right thing. To be like, not to harm anyone's feelings, but it's very important. Okay, next question. And just as Forrest Gump compared life to a box of chocolates, claiming you never know what you're going to get, what would you compare life to? As well, a very interesting question, and I just thought about it. And I think I would compare maybe to a dream, like a dream or nightmare. And when you kind of like feeling like you are not in control of it, and then like how some people like practicing like lucid dream, when you're practicing how to control your dream, and I like it's very hard, and I think it's like that's how life is with like this time you learning how to how to take control of this uncontrolled creature of life. I don't know if that wasn't a good answer, and I think that was the last question. Yeah, and I just add some few slides with just some images, just to end not on the black and white text. Yeah, that's
So, Masha, thank you a lot. Well, thank you a lot for approaching us to your amazing world. Now, if it's okay for you, we can ask a round of questions from our students. Okay, perfect. If anyone have a question, you can raise your hand.
If anyone have any more questions.
Okay, you know that the quiet group, but then never they're quiet. Well, questions? Well, Victor.
Hi, my name is Victor, and
Hi,
in first place, I really liked your MA final collection. I think it was stunning. I really liked it. And my question is, when applying for the MA, like, how is like a broad student's experience, like in getting into like a new school, like CSM, and like, how is the way they do it? Like, do you know friends that were also like abroad, that were to the MA for the first time without doing the BA?
Yeah, I think for me it was easier because I did the BA and I just felt a bit like, I mean, it's not a continuation. They actually don't like to get many people from BA, CSM, just not to be as a like continuation. But I guess obviously it makes things easier for me because I knew the building, I know everything. But yeah, there are many people from different places, and I don't know, I think it is exciting, and normally everyone is like together, and I think it is actually would be more exciting for you because it's like a new experience, new country, always like new emotions. I guess it is more exciting rather than like just being in the same building. And yeah, and they do love people from like different backgrounds, different schools, different places. So there is never like it's never about what school you've done before, where you're from. It's about like your work and your personality.
Okay, thank you.
Any other question? No one? They don't have questions a week before. So again, Masha, many thanks for your time. I hope you have felt comfortable with us. Sorry for the technical problems.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Sorry for us. I hope that you will soon able to know our facilities physically here in Spain, and we will go on working together. So that's all for us. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for inviting. It was a pleasure.
So thank you. Have a great night.
Yeah, you too.
Okay, see you. Bye.
Yeah, bye. Bye.